All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I thought we should do a East vs. West 20 predictions video. And on with me is Ryan Thor Bussiere.
Everybody, I'm Ryan Bussiere. Um, I've been pulling for about almost 4 years. I'm out of Deadwood, South Dakota. Last year I was the Aries Puller of the Year. Um, I travel quite a bit. There's a chance if you watch a live on a Saturday, you've probably seen me at one of the tournaments. So
Absolutely. And I know a lot of people watching might not know this, but it seems like our arm wrestling paths are just constantly intertwined. We always end up at the same events. We end up pulling against each other quite often. Um, we had the same first tournament, and so I think it's only natural that we get on and do a video like this.
yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, starting things off just with the general event. I know this is kind of like the first, well, not the first one since like all the East versus West drama started. There was that the one here in the United States.
Down in
But this is
Colorado.
kind of like the first big normal one, kind of coming back where the Eastern people are back on the card for the most part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you kind of happy to see that things are starting to get back to normal a little bit, or do you kind of like there being more options or the idea of kind of big organizations?
I do like to see kind of get back to normal. Um, that as a fan, that's what I like to see. I like to see sometimes names I've never heard of that are just phenomenal pullers. It gives me or there's an exposure, to other people, who are watching that have never heard of this monster out of, Europe. So I like to see that the best of the best across the world. So less, I guess, YouTube based people. So
For sure. And I also think that right now, what our sport needs is unity and having one major organization that's kind of like spearheading things, I think is what's best for everybody. It gets the most exposure, and it causes the least amount of confusion for newcomers coming in where they know there's like one place to go watch where all the big matches is because, WAF is great, and it's the highest tournament level in the world, but the WAF or WAF world champion, is kind of been replaced with East versus West or even King of the Table, where the champion there is kind of like the guy in the class.
yeah.
So it gives a lot of people a place to look where, and it's just so hard to keep track of. And honestly, for me at least, WAF is really hard to watch. It's it's very the way that they do the formatting and the one table and everything like that. Like you have to be really dedicated to sit there and watch through the thousands of matches. So,
Yeah,
but
I
yeah,
think
let's go ahead.
I was just say I think having like you were saying, like the one major organization, that there's plenty of room for other organizations, but to have one that's maybe at the top, that that's the big stage, that the other ones, it's almost like EVW can like farm out of, guys
Yes.
build themselves up, they get on, these smaller but great production type uh events, and then they get called up to these kind of matches.
Speaking of that, I am actually wearing my Montana Armbender hoodie, and that's actually kind of my like. There's so much room for these organizations like Montana Armbender, Mac. Um, what's the one up in the Northeast? In the Knuckles Up.
Knuckle. Yep.
There's so much room for all these to be like feeder organizations where they might not be that absolute pinnacle, but it's giving all these people who are just amazing or haven't been had a chance to get out there to be seen by the organizers and be known and getting offered shots.
Hmm. No, I agree.
um yeah, so it's really great, and obviously we're a part of that, so we want to see it succeed.
Yeah.
But yeah, starting things off here, East versus West. The first match of the night is a women's left-armed match. Now these two women, Babaieva and Persson or Pearson, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce that. I've seen a little bit of them, mostly on the right arm, so I'm kind of surprised to see this is a left arm match.
Hmm.
But from what I do know of this matchup, I think, or what exposure I have to them, I think Babaieva has the pretty clear edge. Do you know anything about them, or do you have an opinion on this match?
Um, where are they from? Do we?
Babaieva, I believe, is from Bulgaria. I believe same country as Georgy Svetkov,
Sure, yeah.
and Persson is a out of Sweden.
I think the highest level of women's arm wrestling seems to come out of Sweden, so I'm just gonna like go with her. I'll go with Elina.
It's hard not to bet on their system because obviously it works and it's been bringing up a lot of really great names. And even on the men's side, isn't Tobias Sporong from
I believe he's from
Sweden?
Sweden. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's absolutely insane. So I mean, they and for how small the number of competitors they have, in, competing, so many high level people. So yeah, I totally see your idea on that because it's hard to bet against Sweden.
Yeah. Yeah, I think even if it's somebody that I'm not familiar with, if I know they're from Sweden, then I'm gonna end up putting my money on that one.
But yeah. And then the next match, I believe, is Oleg Zhokh versus Tom's Rozits. Um, Now this one, I'll let you kick off, but I have a lot of thoughts on this match personally.
So, I mean, it's hard. I mean, Oleg's not the same Oleg, that he was. He's still great,
Right.
but I know Tom's is definitely, because he's out of um, what is that?
I believe,
It's with Coach Ray and Giannis.
yeah, Latvia.
Yeah, he's out of their camp, and I know he's just a force to be reckoned with. So I'm kind of excited to see it because
Yes.
I always like to, root for like the up and comer, that newer guy that was kind of pass the torch kind of thing. So, um,
Yeah.
I don't know. Zach's it's a lot of arm. So,
That's the thing. We don't for the longest time Oleg was pulling way up in weight classes.
hmm
Like even in his like, the what people would say was his prime, he was pulling the super heavyweights, you know. And like you said, he's not exactly the same since his accident, his injury. But this is in his native weight class, 85 kilos, which, from what we've seen so far, he's just been super dominant,
hmm
especially in longer matches. But I do believe if there's someone who can give Oleg trouble in this weight class, it's definitely Tom. He his hand and his wrist, his rise, it all just looks so stable and just like unbreakable. That if there's someone who is going to be able to just challenge that monster arm of Oleg's, it's got to be him. And I think honestly, if he can't pull it off, it's hard to see anyone in this weight class ever beating Oleg because I really think that Tom's might be the strongest 85 kilo guy we've seen outside of maybe David Samusha.
Sure.
Um, and so yeah, I mean, if this was a heavier weight or something like that, I would probably want to edge more towards the other person. But Oleg at his natural weight, 85 kilos, with that just insanely monstrous arm of his, I can't call it any other.
Yeah. I think Oleg has he's probably got the edge for sure, but I'm gonna be rooting for Tom. So.
Especially if it stops.
Yeah.
Especially if it stops. Yeah, because I think you basically have to flash him um, in order to get the win. The third match that we can talk about is now this. This was originally Philip Larson versus I'm trying to remember his first name now, but Battaglia. So Philip Larson suffered an injury, so he's not going to be able to be in this match. I don't know too much about this Komek, but I do know that in terms of super heavyweights, but I feel like I'm saying this name super wrong. Battaglia, Mr. B, he is supposed to be a complete badass. Like he is supposed to be like an up and coming force to be reckoned with. Because we've seen the same guys have kind of been in the super heavyweight top 10 for a long time now.
Yeah.
And so I think like this match with Philip was supposed to be kind of the next oncoming guy who's going to be busting into that top 10 of the super heavyweights. So I feel like, they probably just found someone to fill in last second, to replace Philip. So it might be a little bit of a mismatch in this one.
Yeah, I guess I'm more familiar with Philip, so with this matchup, I don't have a lot on either guy. I've seen them. I just, I'm not real familiar to where I could base an opinion. I think it'll be exciting to watch, see a couple guys I've never seen go at it who have good reputations behind them.
Yeah, and I do know that he is the most recent WAF super heavyweight champion. So again, that's a lot of, momentum coming in on his side. But yeah, there's not too much information, I think, with this change up here. So we'll see how it plays out. But it's hard not to favor the WAF champion.
Yeah, I agree. They're already, I mean, that was just very recently. It usually seems like if it's within a couple months of that, they're in top form.
Absolutely. Now the next match, this one is actually pretty exciting, I think, because it's been a pretty cool comeback for him. Kanai versus Petro. I'm not even going to try to say his last name, but yeah, Petro. We kind of know him. We've seen him a couple times. Any thoughts on this one?
I love the comeback story with Kanai. I really want to keep seeing him, participate and compete and get invited back. I do really like Petro though. Like every time I've watched him, I've always been, impressed. So I think this one will be fun. I think
I do think so. Well, what are you gonna say?
As you see, they're both, super strong in their lane. So I want to see them get there.
Yeah, the way, so this one is one that I definitely have a lot more info on. And the thing about Petro is he's really dependent on getting his cup. And the problem with pulling a King's mover, and especially a really good, like an actual proficient King's mover that could stop Todd Hutchings and beat John Brzenk 3-0, he's not going to have his wrist. Like if he's able to keep his wrist, that'd be superhuman. Todd Hutchings doesn't need his wrist to side pressure through someone. So he was able to just pull that off.
Mm-hmm.
John Brzenk has the experience to know how to get around pretty much anything, and he can find a way around Kanai's, outside King's move and just kind of died by a death of a million cuts there.
Yeah.
But arm wrestling is always very unpredictable. Petro might just have the power to just to pull through and maybe flash him, because I think Yoshinobu is another guy that you either flash him or he just kind of slowly wears you down and gets the pin. Now if Petro keeps his cup and is able to get Yoshinobu inside, do you think he can get the win there, or do you think Yoshinobu can play in that lane?
Yeah, I think if he can keep his cup, I think he can get the win.
Yeah, it's hard not to see him go that. I mean, we've never seen Yoshinobu really fight from that position though.
Mm-hmm.
Not at least in recent or anything that he's posted up. So I definitely think that one's and it's always exciting. Those long wars are always exciting. So I feel like we're going to see Yoshinobu a lot because his matches have to bring a lot of eyes and a lot of excitement.
Sure.
The next match is another exciting one because a lot of people really like, this is a really what do you want to say, like polarizing guy in Mindaugas Tarasaitis versus Danil Ustinov. But unfortunately, I kind of see this as a pretty big, I won't say a mismatch, but I think Mindaugas is the clear favorite in this.
I agree. I always root against Mindaugas. I don't know why. I just always want to see him lose. But
he's just one of those guys.
Yeah. It's like it's awesome when I see him win, and it's awesome to see how he works on the table. I mean, he's just such a technician. It's really great to watch. But there's this other part of him that I kind of want to see him lose. So
that kind of
eat his words sometimes.
It's that kind of like inbuilt cockiness he has a little bit,
He was a completely silent person. I think I'd like him a lot more.
Yeah, and he kind of is. That's like the weird thing is, like, he seems like so quiet and subtle, then just this other side comes out of nowhere, and it's just it's a little bit off-putting, but not necessarily in a bad way. It's kind of part of why he is so popular.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, he is such a technician, and I think his match with Giannis will forever go down as like a teaching point for everybody. It's like every time you watch that, you see something new or new, like you just learn something because it's probably two of the most technical guys, pulling and just absolute masterclass beginning to end. Daniel, he's a kind of a power guy, really reliant on flashing, and I don't think we've seen um, anyone who wasn't significantly larger than Mindaugas flashing ever. He's a very sticky guy. He knows how to put the brakes on people. Um, and so if Daniel's able to do something like that, that would be extremely impressive. But I definitely don't think he could do it for more than one round.
Yeah, and I say the thing is with Mindaugas is that he may lose the first round, but he figures it out and he comes back, and you're not doing that to him again. Whatever your
Exactly.
method was, it's like, nope, that's not happening again.
Absolutely. So I think we're both in agreement on this one. Um, Now the next match is again now I think there's a lot of exciting matchups, really explosive ones, especially back to back to back. One of my favorite pullers, David Dadikyan and versus Kamil Jablonski, left armed. Kind of like what you said with Mindaugas is kind of me for Kamil. Like I love what he does with social media and stuff, but I also like it makes me like just not want to root for him because it's just like something about him kind of just gets under my skin, you know.
Find
And
myself.
I hate pressers. I hate pressers. Every time I've been injured, it's from a presser. So, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
Um, I'll be rooting for David. I have kind of similar thoughts with Camille. I feel like, yeah, that similar to Mindaugas, where you're just like, oh, like, man, you just rubbed me wrong, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I think part of it's a little bit, like not to dig on him or anything, that his voice doesn't match his body. And so it's just like he's this big, tough, super buff guy. And like then he starts talking, and then what he's saying is really abrasive, but it
Yeah,
sounds happy. So it's it's
yeah,
very off-putting.
yeah.
But I mean, David is one of my favorite pullers because one, I feel like I kind of well, we both kind of pull like him. I think we pull very similarly.
Hmm.
But he's just super explosive,
Yeah.
and
He's always exciting to watch. It's very
always exciting.
rarely have I seen where he's just kind of defeated the whole time. I think that left-handed match with what's the opera singer? That he
Uh,
kind of got manhandled in that one, and it wasn't the greatest performance for him. But other than
I
that,
think he broke his arm.
is that
That
what
was
happened?
yeah, he broke his arm in that match, and he kept trying to pull through it. Man, what is his name? He's one of the most popular arm wrestlers. Yeah, I can't remember his name either off the top of my head right now, but yeah, when he was pulling him, I know who you're talking about. He fractured. He had a small fracture, I believe, in his elbow, is what he put on Instagram. And I don't think that he felt something, but he just thought it was the normal aches and pains of arm
Sure.
wrestling before. Because yeah, that was surprising just because of his pedigree of like just whopping through people before. Um, but I do think just stylistically, I think this is a nightmare for Camille, and I really think Camille stands zero chance in this match. I think that David's just going to knock him right out of his shoulder, and there's no way you're going to press, no way you're going to press him.
I'm gonna have to agree. I don't see him getting through David.
Yeah, I think there's a certain type of arm wrestler that Camille has to be very tactical, and I know he took this match because he wants to prove he can do it. And I fully believe that if he is able to somehow sink a press, he can probably press just about anyone to the pad. Um, but the speed and the power, I don't see any way outside of like getting gifted a false start or something like that
Sure.
that he's going to be able to get him. And even still, I think Dadikyan might have the power to pull him back over. Like he's just a scary, scary dude. So I think we both have David on that one. Cool. And next up is just about everyone's favorite, Matt Mask versus Serhii Kalinichenko.
Ryan check that.
This is a left-armed match, so I'll let you take this one off. But yeah, a little scary, I think, for Matt.
So they're both like two of my favorites. Like I love
Mhm.
watching them. So this one's hard to like really root against either. I'm just kind of excited to see it.
Mhm.
I know when they pulled, was that last year? That was right arm.
Yes.
Yeah, and that did not go Matt's way. I'm interested to see how it works on the left arm like a year later.
Mhm.
I follow Kalinichenko on his social media pretty closely. I love watching all of his training and his. I have no idea how expensive that setup he has, but it's awesome and I want it. But
Insane.
yeah,
Well, I think he is either, I'm not sure if he's sponsored, but I know he's in close proximity with Lazarenko. So I don't know if he trains in their
sure.
facility or if that's actually his. But yeah, that is pristine and it's the best stuff you can possibly have for arm wrestling
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
agree. Um, but as far as the match, you know, I hmm, I can see I can see it kind of going the same as the right arm. Because this is both of their non-dominant arm, right? Like they're
Yes.
primarily right arm pullers. So it does
Mhm.
put a little bit of a wild card out there, but I'll be rooting for one of them because I love them both. But um, and they're both exciting at the table. Like I really feel like this is gonna be like a fun
Yeah.
one to watch. Like Matt is like all energy. It's great, slapping the table and stuff, and Kalinchenko gets so fired up. So
I think I'm more excited for the press conference between these two.
yeah, that'll be good. Yeah.
Left arm, I think, I know he's been getting more matches left armed, so he's probably been training it more than he has in the past or more seriously. But from what I understand, even though it's not his main arm and it's not as good, Kalinchenko, um, his left arm is pretty good from what I've seen, and I think he's gonna be able to turn Matt into a hook on the left. I think he's strong enough to do it. And Matt is willing to fight from any position, but that's the one thing about Matt is I see um, kind of glass cannon, one trick pony, like either his move works or doesn't, versus kind of Mr. Versatility in Kalinchenko,
Yeah.
where he'll press you, he'll hook you, he'll topple you, he doesn't care. He'll just go where he needs to go to win. So that's why I kind of see it as an uphill battle for Matt Mask. But I will be rooting for Matt just because for me it's always going to be I'm always going to root for the Western guy. I'll give my objective opinion, but I'll always root for the Western guy to pull off the W.
Yeah. Like,
So I'm going to personally give Serhii the edge in this.
yeah, I'll give him the edge.
Slight though, like 55-45.
Yeah, I can agree on that.
The next match is another women's left arm match. So all the women's matches are left armed on this card. The probably the two women we're going to be seeing the most of for a long time. Um, Gabby versus Barbora, the two best female arm wrestlers in the world by a long shot. Like the gap down below them is huge.
Mm.
There's no one who can. I think Jocelyn in a few years will be able to give them troubles, but she just needs some more time. But yeah, left-handed. I actually will give Gabby a pretty big advantage left-handed. Um, Barbora, um, she's not she doesn't have the power that Gabby has. Gabby usually comes out and whops her in the first two rounds, and then Barbora comes back and gets the W. Um, her left arm doesn't perform as good as her right, and we just see that sometimes even with people who train them equally. You get on the table and it just doesn't. Not for everyone. There's just a big delta, and Barbora's left is good, but it's not Gabby good. So me personally, I'm gonna have to give Gabby a big advantage in this. I think it's like 70-30.
I don't know if I've ever seen Barbora pull on the left. If I have, I don't really remember. Um, I know Gabby's a powerhouse, either arm. I guess it just kind of depends, I guess what Barbora shows up with that left arm. If she's as connected as she is on the right, I feel like it'll be a lot closer. If she's not, the way Gabby is, I feel like it's Gabby's show.
Right. I see Gabby a lot like I see Dave Chafee. And I see Barbora a lot like I see Devin. And the thing is, like, everyone has their gifts, but I'd be like with the this will be the third time that they've matched up, and this is the first time on their left arm. But if I was from thinking from Gabby's perspective, I'd be like, okay, I have enough power to pin Barbora. So maybe instead of trying to keep pushing up the power and getting stronger and stronger, maybe just like putting more effort into endurance and conditioning and just trying to maintain that strength, that peak level, and not trying to necessarily get stronger. But just so you can get that third pin, because it's got to be so frustrating to come out, get 2 pins, and then that third round comes out. And Gabby's a fighter. She's not the type of person who's going to strategically let a match go. She's going to just try to hold it and pull through and pull through and pull through. And I think that's kind of bitter in the bud a little bit in the past. So hopefully she just has a little bit more conditioning, so she can just again, we don't know if it's going to go the same on the left. I think she just might have too much power, period, on the left arm. But that's what I feel like would be going through my.
Yeah, Barbora, I just can't imagine getting across the table somebody just that much larger than you. Like, that's got to be intimidating.
That has to be. I think if I remembered the cards right, like Gabby's like 5'2" or 5'3".
She is short,
and
she was down in Colorado when I was there. I mean, like way shorter than I thought.
Yeah, and I believe Barbora is like 6'3" or 6'4",
something like that. Yeah,
or no, 5'11".
Is she? I thought she was over 6 foot.
Maybe I'm wrong, but everyone always says that she's literally the exact, like if you put her next to Dave Chafee, they're like the same size human.
Oh, okay.
However tall, and I think she weighs the same as him too, even. So yeah, that has to be super intimidating because, we've both pulled super heavy classes and stuff before, and there's certain guys you get up there, and you feel fine and okay, but then there's those guys like with that just such a much bigger frame that you just you're trying to figure out like, where do I hold them? How do I get leverage? How do I make them come down to me? So yeah, it's definitely intimidating. This next match is actually one of my favorites on the card. Not necessarily because I cared too much about either individual arm wrestler in terms of like their like social media presence or like what they put out there, because neither of them are super flashy out in the, at least here in the US, they don't have a big presence. But Nugo versus Oleg, just because I think Nugo's on such a tear right now. And Oleg is kind of seen as this just dominating, unbeatable force in the 115 or 105, excuse me, pound class. What are you thinking on this one?
I love Nugo. Like, I'm always cheering for him. I love watching him. Guy's just quirky, and it's awesome. I don't even know how he hears the go with all the other things he has going on.
Yes.
And Oleg's awesome. Like, I love watching him. He's just like, I mean, he's built like a freaking superhero. Yeah. Like he's great. I love watching him pull. This one will be really good. I feel, like I'm excited to see it. I don't really have like necessarily a favorite because they're both like just strong. And I want to see it go inside really bad. I want to see him just power for power. I want to see who does it.
That's absolutely what I'm hoping for as well. As cliche as it is, like you said, like Oleg, he's just kind of like almost like a perfect arm wrestler. It's like the Ivan Drago versus Rocky in a way, where it's just like, perfection versus just heart, because that's what Nugo is where it's just all passion, all heart. He doesn't give up no matter what. But the crazy thing about Nugo is like he can pull everywhere. He can pull inside and outside. He surprised everyone. He top rolled Matt Mask on the right arm, wasn't it? And people didn't really think that was going to be possible. Do you like, if you saw, especially like last year, for instance, before we had a little bit more information, and you saw Matt Mask right armed versus Oleg Petrenko right armed, would you inherently give Matt the edge? Or because I think before people might have ranked Matt higher, but with the way things have shaken up over the last year, it really looks like, this next up and coming generation just has something figured out, and they're just on a whole nother level.
Yeah, I would say I probably would have gave Matt the win on that, but yeah, like you said, as of today, these two especially, they have it figured out. They're climbing and climbing.
Yeah, and most people have Oleg as the clear favorite here, but kind of like you, I'm going to be rooting for Nugo, and I think he's going to surprise people. I think the amount of power.
That's
Exactly.
what I feel.
And the after pools, I think people are not like, because a lot of people don't like to take after pools.
Hmm.
But what Nugo does in the after pools against super heavyweights is pretty astonishing. Like he'll catch them in places that, like he'll kind of work on them, and then they'll be like, okay, I'm just gonna pull you over now. Then he'll stop them, and you can see the look of shock on their face. So this guy has what he needs. Again, I think that Oleg is just really technical and precise, and I'm hoping that Nugo's able to navigate the setup really well, because I think that this is one where it's hard to think that they both don't have the amount of power they need to pin the other person. So I think it's going to come down a lot to who gets what they want or who counters the other.
Who gets where they need to be first?
Absolutely. Um, do you have a favorite? Like, I know you have the favorite in Nugo, but like objectively speaking, do you still think Nugo takes it?
I do, because you know, I've mentally bet against him too many times and lost. So it's like I'm just not going to bet against him anymore. Like, I didn't think he was going to do that to Matt Mask. So,
Right.
and I was like,
And it's
wow,
Georgia,
okay.
right?
Yeah, and it's Georgia. Yeah, it's kind of like with the ladies, it's Sweden. Arm wrestling, it's Georgia. Or men, it's Georgia.
Yeah, they definitely have something figured out over there. Moving along here now, my favorite arm wrestler, Todd Hutchings, versus Irakli Zirakashvili. Um, Third matchup. I don't really have too much to say at this. I think it's just gonna go the same way. The only difference is I think Irakli's gonna be trying to go for the press earlier. I think he's just going to try to focus on getting in and pressing Todd. But I think Todd is a really smart arm wrestler, and I think he's going to be prepared for that. And I just think Todd's proven that he's just too much for Iraq.
Yeah, I'm not super excited about it because I feel like we've already seen it.
Yeah,
Are they heavier this time, or is it still the same weight?
it's exactly the same. This is the third time in a row. Well, I think they're facing twice in a row, and then there is one match each in between their first one,
Sure.
or maybe two, because Todd pulls a lot.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, everything's exactly the same weight.
My money's on Todd. I think it'll go the same, unless Rockley has some trick up his sleeve that he has discovered on how to dismantle Todd. Otherwise, I think it'll go the same.
And I think the only other thing you can really take into consideration is age. Irakli is young, and Todd is probably getting towards the end of where he can continue getting stronger. Well, I'm not going to say he's at the end of that, because he consistently proves people wrong. But there has to be a point where he starts falling off, and other people, either catch up or come along.
Yeah.
And Irakli trains with the best arm wrestlers in the world, consistently. Probably one of the strongest pound for pound arm wrestlers on the planet in terms of like his lifts and everything he does. Maybe the strongest. Like, it's absolutely insane. Um, so that's like the only thing I'm gonna have to say is, never count anyone out in arm wrestling. But um, like we've both talked about, there's not been enough time since their last match. I just think it's gonna go the same.
Yeah. I don't think any major progression has happened since the last one on either
And
side.
I hope this is the last time we see this.
Yeah. Put it to rest.
Yeah, if Todd wins, I hope this is the last time we see this. Um, let's see. Okay, so the next one, this is another deciding one for me, because I think Dave Chafee's one of the coolest guys in arm wrestling. Super nice and big inspiration. Even before I started arm wrestling, I knew of him because of what was it, Game of Arms?
Game of
Because
Arms.
I
Yep.
seen that show. And so I just knew of this big, huge, unstoppable, monstrous person. And so it's cool to see him getting back in form at a new weight class. How do you see this match going?
I mean, I'll be rooting for Dave the whole way. Ibrahim is crazy. Like, I love watching him, but I think Dave at this weight, I mean, he looks great. He is in top form, and I think it'll be a good showcase for Dave. Should he win, I think it'll be a good one. They're like, hey, I'm back. Like,
Right.
and I found my sweet spot here as far as what class he should be in and where he could be dominant.
Yeah, I think because of Dave's struggles over the last couple of years, I don't necessarily want to say people totally wrote him off, but I don't think people expected his match with Todd Hutchings to go the way it did. I think a lot of people did have Dave, getting the win in that, but no one thought it was going to be easy like it was. Like no one beats Todd Hutchings easy.
No, no,
And
no.
he just pile drove through him.
Mm-hmm. Just power.
It's good. So I have a lot of respect, and I think it was so. Ibrahim, he beat Gennady, and that even considering how much weight Gennady cut and everything for that, I don't. And I know Gennady's again one of those guys who's still recovering from an injury, or maybe he's just not the same puller as he was before. But that still means something like pretty big because
Yeah.
Gennady's over the last 4 or 5 years, Gennady's been in the top 3 multiple times and probably never out of the top 6. So that's just, and this is a whole class down. So it's hard to say that Ibrahim doesn't have a shot. But again, I think they're both, funnily enough, kind of pulling into where the other person kind of wants someone to, almost ideally. Dave, he's going to have that flat wrist. He'll cup if he can, but it'll either be flat or slightly cupped, and he's just going to knock Ibrahim out of his shoulder. Or even if Ibrahim, I think, slightly does able to get his shoulder forward and kind of start that press, or shoulder roll, I still think Dave probably just has enough power to yank him out of it.
I could see it going like that. I agree. Yeah, they both kind of pull where the other one wants it. So.
And Dave's speed in the Todd Hutchings match was actually really surprising too.
Mm-hmm.
So again, and they're both quick guys, and
Ibrahim is super fast.
Yeah,
like powerful right off the gate.
So I think if Dave catches it above, I'd say his, as long as he's not past 2:00, I think he wins. But if Ibrahim is fast enough to knock him down past that 2:00 position right off the bat, I think he has the advantage, but I'm personally going to give the edge to Dave.
I'm going to give the edge to Dave. I think it'll be close, like 55-45. I think it's a great matchup. I want to see Dave win because I want that, return of Dave Chafee being this super North American badass. So
the only other thing I want to say though too is, or maybe 2 points I would want to bring up, because I think this is actually a really big match because this is for the world title, and this maybe should have been the main event. One, do you think Ibrahim would do to Todd Hutchings what Dave Chafee did to him?
I could see it. I could see it happening that way.
Oh yeah?
With that hit, I could see him taking Todd into deep water early to where Todd would have to fight out of it. I mean, not that Todd can't, but I could see a similarity as far as that off the go, getting Todd out, not necessarily giving Todd that chance to, access his old guy's super strength.
Right. Absolutely. And the other point I want to bring up is if Ibrahim gets the win, and considering how Ibrahim and Renault's match went, how good are these guys? Because if he beats Dave Chafee and Gennady, and Renault was able to beat Ibrahim, like these guys, they could be contenders in the super heavyweights.
Oh, easy.
And that's absolutely insane, because we've been, like we were talking about earlier, we've been wanting to see new blood in the super heavyweights for a while now. So if either of these guys are able to like size up, I don't know if they have the frame for it. I think it looks like Ibrahim does, and I think Renault definitely, like, he's deceptively big. I don't know if you've ever seen Renault in person or stay like in a candid picture next to people, but that dude is super, like his frame is insane.
Really?
So I think he could definitely be a super heavy. So I think this match has a lot of implications past even the 115 category type.
That's exciting.
Okay, so then the last match on the card, the main event for this East versus West, the one that people have been asking for and some people have been dismissing completely, Vitaly Letin versus Jerry Caderet. Where are your thoughts on this? Because I'm again, this is another one I have kind of strong.
Well, it's kind of one of those. So Dave beat Vitaly with a flop wrist press. and nobody does a
Mhm.
flop wrist press better than Jerry Cataret. So I could see if that is still a weak point that Jerry could capitalize on that. Will he be able to get to it, or will he just be yanked right out of his press? Similar to how Levon took him apart like that.
Mhm.
Vitaly's like crazy long arm might also help. This will be more over top of Jerry rather than Jerry getting a hold of his wrist to push into.
Mhm.
I don't know. And Vitaly looks so strong. So I think if Jerry gets in his lane, I think it'll be a really great match to watch. I think if Vitaly
Yeah.
can take him out of it right away, yeah, it'll be Vitaly.
Jerry's one of those kind of silver bullet guys where I think if you don't take him seriously, then he beats you. Like period. Because I think a lot of people thought when Jerry, especially after Jerry had those matches with Gennady and Georgie, they thought that oh, well, just a little bit higher up the ranks, they'll just because those were such wars, there'll just be too much power to stop him. But the fact I think that both Hermes and Levon took his threat serious enough to completely change their style to beat him, I think sent a wake up call to everyone else that don't try to top roll through his press. Don't think you're Billy Badass and you're just gonna, just have enough power to get through him because
Mm-hmm.
the reason why Jerry has been as high as number 3 or even number 2 in the world, well, technically he's even being number 1
He
and
has
the
been,
term
yeah.
champion, is because he can pull from the A and the B side. He can pull from the losing side and just he seems to have a completely unbreakable arm. Um, and he's not afraid to throw a shoulder forward against anyone. He even threw it forward against Levon, which is crazy.
His arm's so
That
set.
was scary. I think everyone was expecting to see a potential arm break if Levon tried to top roll through him. Um, but again, the fact that both Hermes and Levon saw him as a big enough threat to completely change their style and come forward against him makes me think that Vitaly will be thinking along the same lines. But I have a little bit of a different opinion, whereas I think Vitaly's super long lever is actually going to play against him. So
Oh,
I don't know that he's going to have enough time to go forward because he's going to have to start with his arm lower. And then both Levon, because he's about 4 inches taller than Levon, and he is 6 or 7 inches taller than Hermes. So they're shorter levers. They were able to kind of get closer and get lower, and because the thing with a presser is you kind of want to crowd them and just basically use as much of your forearm as possible to block that press from coming forward. So I think Vitaly's lever is going to play a big disadvantage in his ability to get forward on Jerry. Um, so unless he kind of comes up with a way to set his body, and that's another disadvantage to being super tall, is like they almost don't fit in the table, right?
yeah.
You know what I mean? So they have a really weird stance. So I don't know that he's going to be able to get close enough, like get his center of mass over the table while also having his legs where he needs them to be to generate enough force, and back pressure. So I'm actually, as crazy as it sounds, I think I'm gonna have to give Jerry the edge. I think Vitaly's long lever, and I think this is also just a case of arm wrestling rock scissors,
Mm-hmm.
where I think Vitaly can beat a ton of people that Jerry would have no chance against. But I think this is a puller that Jerry will struggle mightily against. And I know Devin's figured it out in the past, but I think past Devin and past Jerry are very different than these current versions.
Well, that I can agree on that too. I can see where you're coming from with that.
One thing I will go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think if Vitali figures out how to get Jerry palm up,
Yeah.
and then I think he can do it. But like you're saying, not being able to really crowd in on him, that is something that'd be interesting to see if he can pull that off. But still rooting for Jerry all the way. Not sure.
I think if Jerry wins this match, one, it's going to be extremely entertaining because Jerry's on tape. I still think probably one of the most entertaining matches, not because of a technical standpoint of anything, but Jerry versus Gennady was probably one of the best bits of arm wrestling entertainment ever in the history of arm wrestling. And I think if Jerry pulls this off or starts getting in a good winning position, the things he's going to be saying, the antics, and his forward momentum in terms of the matchups he gets. Like, because if he beats Vitaly, will he get another shot at Levon? Is he going to have to pull Devin or Hermes again? Or like, it's all people that I think he doesn't want to pull
Yeah.
outside of Levon. I think he legitimately wants another shot at Levon. But I don't think he really wants to deal with Hermes or.
Yeah. No, I could see that. His specific style maybe being a kryptonite to Vitaly, but where does he go after this? To guys that have figured him out.
Right.
So
That's the
it'll be
scary
good though.
part.
I mean, I always want to see him get there and win. And yeah, he's awesome when he's fired up. He's great to watch. Just the
Oh yeah, he
entertainment
is.
value that Jerry brings is great.
Engen.
Yeah, hang in, elbow. Friggin' and just he's unorthodox. It's odd, just to watch him because that's his game. If I see anybody else flop wrist press, I'm like, I'm doing Jerry's move. So,
Right. Yeah, it is. It's Jerry's move for sure.
yeah.
To Vitaly's credit, I will say though, I don't know if you follow him on social media at all, but a lot of his training seems, or at least what he's posting, is like side pressure, but it's like very low table side pressure. So I'm wondering if someone like Vitaly is able to just get strong enough to where maybe he doesn't need to get as crowded forward. And as long as he just keeps his arms static and just goes straight to the side, and just gets low enough to where Vitaly has to, I mean, not Vitaly, Jerry has to push into his palm and not get under it at all.
Mhm.
That might just be enough, So we'll wait and see. I think that this could go either way. This is probably one I'm going to put on there as 50-50. And I know people hate when you don't like give a prediction or either way, but I really think that this is a coin flip.
I think there's a lot of factors that could go either way that really just change the outcome.
Mhm.
So some of those unknowns, and especially with like Vitaly being, more full-time training nowadays, that I think that maybe he has the time to figure out how to make his style work.
Yes,
So
absolutely. And even while I do, like I said, I favor Jerry Caderet. I think objectively saying 50-50 is pretty safe just because I think, like you said earlier, he just might be figured out. When you're a silver bullet guy with like one move, you get figured out,
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, that's all the matches on this card. I think it's a really fun card overall. I think it's pretty exciting. I actually like to see that they condensed it a little bit. There's a few less matches than normal on here, which is great because as much as I love East vs. West, like an 8-hour day of watching it is pretty rough.
I enjoy the 6 to 8 hour days. It's just sometimes those matches in the middle, I just don't care about sometimes.
Yeah,
There's a little
I
bit of,
understand.
I have definitely napped in the middle before. Woke up.
Yes.
So usually that Gold
Yes.
Star coffee commercial wakes me up because it's like 12 decibels louder than the rest of the show.
Oh yeah, and it'll play like 4 or 5 times in a row.
Yeah.
So that's always great. I mean, Gold Star coffee, who doesn't love it?
I want to try it. Supposedly it's awesome. I want to try it.
I don't know. Maybe that's the way. Maybe we should give it a go.
Yeah.
But yeah, any other thoughts about the event before we close out?
No, not so much. I mean, I like the card. I'm real excited for it. I am glad, like you said, it's not 8 hours long, but it is longer. It's more than just 6 matches. So I feel like
just
for what they, the investment you put into it for the $20 or, whatever they're charging, it doesn't matter. I'll pay it. But, you get more of a day, Saturdays for arm wrestling. I like the majority of my day to be this, I don't really watch football or anything like that. This is my thing. So I'm glad we're getting back to that and the guys are participating. Some of that drama's.
I'm with you on that. I don't really watch follow any other sports, so this is my thing. By the looks of the number of people here, I'm gonna probably say it's probably gonna be like 4 hours, mattering on how they do the breaks and stuff like that, which I think is a pretty good sweet spot. But one thing I do wish they did if they were gonna have more matches again, especially in the future, is, and I think this is gonna be great for the sport, making it into a 2-day event or at least a 2-part event where the first part, the undercard matches, like the ones we said, where we're not super excited about, but at least one of the good matches is on like a free view, like on YouTube, just on their YouTube channel, just streamed free for everybody to see. And then so that way it'll tempt in the kind of like more casual, maybe people who are just going to find it because it is live streaming, and I'm sure it'll get at least 10, 20, 30,000 active viewers. I think that could be a good way for them to actually get more overall pay-per-views and grow the sport more is by offering the undercard matches for free.
Yeah, it gives that engagement, like, oh man, this was great. Where's that pay-per-view? I'll pay for it. Like, I want to keep watching.
Yeah, especially because if they keep hyping up the matches as they're going, the later matches or the main events.
Yeah, make somebody feel like they're missing out if they don't, like if you like
Exactly.
this, it's just $20.
Exactly. But yeah, no, like you said, I think it's a great event overall. And thanks for joining us here tonight. And thank you, Ryan, for coming on and helping me out with this and giving your thoughts as well. If you like what we're doing, please like and subscribe, and we will catch you guys next time.